We're not talking about grandparents. We're talking about me.
No,
we're talking about you.
You've made it sound like a Zimbabwean needs to go back to Zimbabwe to show that Zimbabwe is working. So why are Europeans not going back to Europe? Why are Asians not going back to Asia? Why are they staying in South Africa?
The context of the conversation is that you're saying that Zimbabwe is a beautiful country with great opportunities and people have run away from there to become waiters. The context is you are living here in South Africa when you could be going back and making that country work.
With Thomas M.
You know, guys, one of the issues that the South Africans have been struggling to deal with is this issue of illegal immigration. I mean, it is so hard for South Africans to actually express their frustration about these open borders and what illegal immigrants are doing in the country. I mean, every day when you go online or when you watch the news, you will see what illegal immigrants are doing in the country. You know, the usual, the zamazamas, bank card frauds, and all sorts of things. But as soon as South Africans start having conversations about that, the mainstream media and political parties like the EFF, they will come out swinging to call South Africans xenophobic. You know, the leader of EFF, Julius Malema, he's one person who is actually famous for saying that there are no foreigners in Africa. If you are a black man in Africa, you can never be a foreigner in Africa. But the same person says nothing when the reports come out to say that Zimbabwe has been deporting people for not having proper documents. Julius Malema says nothing. When the reports come out that Botswana has been deporting people for not having proper documents, Julius Malema says nothing. But when South Africans start having conversations about deporting the people that are in the country illegally, you will see Julius Malema and the mainstream media coming out swinging to call South Africans xenophobic. This is the reason why I'm saying that it is so hard for the people on the ground to actually express their frustration about what is happening in the country. The mainstream media has actually succeeded in terms of painting South Africans as xenophobic. This is despite South Africa being the most diverse country in Africa. The mainstream media has actually succeeded in painting South Africa as xenophobic. And you look at what these people are doing and you look at how these people are trying to paint South Africans, and you can ask yourself one question: what is it that you people are trying to gain? What is it are you trying to gain? Because the people on the ground, they are telling you that, guys, we are living with these people in the townships. We know what these people are doing. We know what these people are capable of. And as South Africans, we do not feel safe having people that are undocumented into the country, because we know if these people commit crimes, it is impossible for us to track who these people are. This is one of the reasons why South Africans feel so unsafe in their own communities. But you will see, man, like politicians and the mainstream media, they don't care about what the people on the ground are feeling, because these people are living in gated communities in Sandton and other areas in South Africa where illegal immigrants don't even have to go. When South Africans say, guys, we don't want to share employment opportunities with illegal immigrants, these people will come out and call you xenophobic. When the taxpayers of this country say, guys, we don't want to pay tax for illegal immigrants to come to the country to give birth in South Africa on our taxpayer, we don't want that to happen, the people will call you xenophobic. When the taxpayers of this country say that, guys, we don't want to pay so that we can afford these people with security, they will call you xenophobic. So what is it exactly are these people trying to achieve? What is it exactly are they trying to achieve? Because right now, guys, I'm going to play you this video. This video, it was an exchange between Leanne and this guy, Rutendo Matinyarare. This guy, he goes around telling people how wonderful Zimbabwe is, how wonderful ZANU-PF is. And the people in Zimbabwe, they are not happy about him going around selling the brand of Zimbabwe living in South Africa. They are not happy about him selling the brand of ZANU-PF while enjoying the freedoms of South Africa. And the people of Zimbabwe have actually expressed their frustration towards Rutendo Matinyarare and said, guy, if you believe that ZANU-PF is so wonderful, why don't you come and live in Zimbabwe? This is the same question that Leanne Manas is going to ask Rutendo Matinyarare. Why don't you go to Zimbabwe if you believe that the ZANU-PF is so wonderful? So guys, I want you to check this exchange and I want you to tell me what you think about this exchange. And the most interesting thing about this exchange is that it is the mainstream media against the foreigners. You know, the mainstream media in South Africa has actually developed a habit of inviting foreigners in their platforms so that they can insult the South Africans, calling South Africans lazy, saying South Africans are xenophobic and all sort of things. But right now you are going to see an exchange between the mainstream media and the foreigners. And please tell me what you think about it.
In fact, why don't you take up the opportunity? Why would you come and make your fortune here in South Africa when, as you've described it, you could be making a fortune in Zimbabwe? Why are you here?
Because I'm part of the problem in Zimbabwe. My attitude of thinking that I had to come and take up the opportunity that was offered to me here.
So why don't you go
instead
home?
of minding
May I ask you that? Why do you not
I am
go
going
home?
But right now I've also got family in South Africa. I've got South African children. And those South African children don't just allow me to just stand up and leave, but I do have projects that I'm taking part in Zimbabwe because I've learned that those resources are the most important thing.
If you have such faith in your country, in Zimbabwe, I would say and I would think you would get up and you would take your family and you would go and fix up the future of Zimbabwe. If you're saying there's land, if you're saying there's minerals, if you're saying there is so much wealth and opportunities for you there, you're living a contradiction.
No, I'm not living a contradiction.
You certainly are. By sitting here, you're living a contradiction.
I would ask you that why...
Because people are suffering in Zimbabwe,
so why are people
but you're languishing
why
here.
are people not going to the Netherlands? Why are Germans not going back to Germany? Is it because their countries are bad? Is it because they're running away from problems in the UK or in the States? Why aren't Europeans going? What are you doing here?
I live here. This is my home. I'm not running away from it.
Why are you living here instead of Europe? Why did your great-grandparents come here instead of Europe?
We're not talking about grandparents. We're talking about me.
No,
we're talking about you.
You've made it sound like a Zimbabwe needs to go back to Zimbabwe to show that Zimbabwe is working. So why are Europeans not going back to Europe? Why are Asians not going back to Asia? Why are they staying in South Africa?
The context of the conversation is that you're saying that Zimbabwe is a beautiful country with great opportunities and people have run away from there to become waiters. The context is you are living here in South Africa when you could be going back and making that country work. That's the
context.
You
also forgot that I was asked to come here. Somebody thought my skills were important here.
I've been asked to go to other countries, but I believe in this country.
But why don't you believe in Europe?
No, I believe in South Africa.
Why don't you believe in Europe?
I believe in my country.
Why don't you believe in Europe?
This is not about...
You know, after watching this exchange, the first thing that came to my mind is South African mainstream media actually going to realize what these people are doing? Because I think that for the longest time, the South African mainstream media actually thought that these people only hate black people in South Africa because black people in South Africans are the ones that have been vocal about having people like Rutendo Matinyarare in South Africa. Black people in South Africa, they have been vocal about having these people. And these people have been comfortably insulting black people in South Africa, calling them lazy and all sorts of things. But right now you hear a guy who was born in Zimbabwe. He is asking a woman who was born in South Africa, why don't you go to Europe? It is disgusting. It is disgusting for Rutendo Matinyarare to live in South Africa while selling the brand of ZANU-PF. It is disgusting. So is the mainstream media actually going to realize that these people hate them too? These people hate them too. This rainbow nation that South Africa has actually fought for, this rainbow nation that our grandparents and our parents has fought for, these people, they want to destroy it. Because you have to understand that these are the same Zimbabweans that have chased out white people in their own country. These are the same people that have actually listened to Robert Mugabe and his friends. When Robert Mugabe and his friend lied to the people of Zimbabwe, said, guys, we need to chase out white farmers. We need to chase out these white businesses in Zimbabwe. We don't need white people in Zimbabwe to be great. Now, the same black people that come from Zimbabwe, they are in South Africa, and they are asking white people in South Africa to go back to Europe. Is the mainstream media actually going to learn something from these people? Because when you listen to Rutendo Matinyarare, what you can get is that these people, they want South Africa to destroy itself the same way they have destroyed Zimbabwe. They have chased out white farmers in Zimbabwe. Now they are in South Africa, they are telling white people in South Africa that you must go back to Europe. These are not the utterances of black people in South Africa. These are things that you will not hear. You will normally not hear black people in South Africa telling white people that you must go back to Europe. But these utterances are now being echoed by people like Rutendo Matinyarara. So is the mainstream media actually going to learn anything from this exchange? That these people who come from Zimbabwe, these people who have destroyed their own country, because one thing you need to understand about Zimbabweans is that they are the ones who have destroyed their own country. They listened to Robert Mugabe. Robert Mugabe said, we are going to chase out these people. We are going to give you land. We are going to give you the mineral resources. You are going to be rich. But now when you go to Zimbabwe, the land, the fertile land in Zimbabwe, it belongs to the comrades of ZANU-PF. The mineral resources in Zimbabwe, they belong to ZANU-PF. The average people on the ground, the average Zimbabweans on the ground, they are not benefiting anything. They were used to chase out the people who actually brought investments in that country. Now the same people are in South Africa. They are actually trying to get rid of the same white people in South Africa. So is the mainstream media actually going to learn anything from this exchange? Because this is exactly what they want. This is exactly what they want. They want the black people in South Africa to chase out white people. This is what they want. Because how can you, as a Zimbabwean, go on a national television in South Africa to look in the eye of a white woman who was born in South Africa and tell her to go back to Europe? You are being racist towards her. You are being racist, and you actually want the South Africans, or you actually thought that the South Africans were going to be behind your back and say that these people are racist, they need to get the hell out of here. And I actually commend the South Africans for defending Leanne Manners. South Africans have been defending Leanne Manners for a week right now, after this video has actually came out. South Africans have been defending Leanne Manners, and I commend the South Africans for that, because I think this video alone is that it has actually shown us the intention of having people like Rutendo Matinyarara living in South Africa. It is their intention, after all, to have South Africa being destroyed the same way they destroyed Zimbabwe. It is their intention. It is their intention. I mean, for the longest time, these people said that we are not going to go back to Zimbabwe because of the sanctions. But they forget that they are the ones who actually called the sanctions upon themselves. They are the ones who actually called the sanctions upon themselves. This is something that the South Africans have not been talking about often. That these people destroyed their own country. They destroyed their own country. They destroyed their own country. Now they are coming to South Africa to play the racism card, to tell white people in South Africa to go back to Europe. This is their intention, after all. So is the mainstream media going to stop giving people like Rutendo Matinyarara platform to insult the South Africans? This is what I want to know. I don't care who was right, who was wrong in this exchange. I know that this person is wrong to come from Zimbabwe to live in South Africa, to look at a white person who was born in South Africa, to tell that person that you are not a South African, go back to Europe. I know that this person is totally wrong. But my focus right now is on the mainstream media. Are these people going to stop giving these people a platform to insult us as this country? Because right now, Rutendo has actually shown their hand that we want the black people in South Africa to destroy their own country. We destroyed our own country. We listened to the comrades, and now the comrades are benefiting anything. Guys, you remember that documentary that came out from Al Jazeera, that gold mafia? You saw how the administration of Mnangagwa is actually selling the mineral resources of Zimbabwe. The people on the ground, they are not benefiting anything from the mineral resources of Zimbabwe. The people on the ground in Zimbabwe, they do not have the land. They have nothing. The people on the ground have nothing. And now millions of Zimbabweans, they are in South Africa, telling white people in South Africa that they must go back to Europe. It is their intention to break apart this rainbow nation that has been fought for. You remember Robert Mugabe, until he died, he said Nelson Mandela was a sellout, because Nelson Mandela did not want to chase white people out of the country. Nelson Mandela actually believed in reconciliation. Nelson Mandela said, man, we are not going to do what you did in Zimbabwe. And Robert Mugabe called Mandela a sellout until he died. Zimbabweans, even right now, they are calling South Africans sellout for having white people in the country. Now the same Zimbabweans that have been given platform by the mainstream media, the same mainstream media that was supposed to protect the people of South Africa, they are giving these people airtime, and now these people are insulting them. Is the mainstream media going to learn anything from these people? Are you going to continue giving these people a platform? That is my question. Are you going to continue giving these people a platform? They wanted to destroy the Rainbow Nation. They want to destroy the Rainbow Nation. They are using racism to destroy South Africa. That's why I'm saying, man, I am so happy, because when you go online, man, you will see thousands and thousands of black people saying, man, Leanne Manas is a South African, you are a Zimbabwean, and you need to get the hell out of South Africa. For you to say that Leanne Manas must go back to Europe, you need to get the hell out of South Africa.
In fact, why don't you take up the opportunity? Why would you come and make your fortune here in South Africa when, as you've described it, you could be making a fortune in Zimbabwe? Why are you here?
Because I'm part of the problem in Zimbabwe. My attitude of thinking that I had to come and take up the opportunity that was offered to me here,
so why don't you go
instead
home?
of
Who actually called Rutendo Matinyangare to take up opportunities that was given to him here? What is it that Rutendo Matinyangare can offer to South Africans that South Africans do not have? Who called Rutendo Matinyangare to come to South Africa? Who called him to come to South Africa? And you know, the most frustrating thing is that the EFF guys were actually defending him. They were defending him, saying that Leanne Manas needs to go back to Europe. They were defending him. So they've actually fallen into this streak of these people from Zimbabwe. It shows you that, man, like, it has never been so clear. It has never been so clear, the intentions of these people. So what is it exactly that Rutendo Matinyangare can offer to South Africa that South Africa doesn't have already? What are the skills that Rutendo Matinyangare is bringing to South Africa that South Africans do not have already?
May I ask you that? Why are you not
I am
go
going
home?
home. But right now, I've also got family in South Africa. I've got South African children, and those South African children don't just allow me to just stand up and leave, but I do have projects that I'm taking part in Zimbabwe because I've learned.
Now it's about them having children in South Africa. You know, for the longest time they said, well, we cannot go back to Zimbabwe because of the sanctions. Yeah, the sanctions. Now the sanctions have been uplifted. Now they are saying, no, we have children in South Africa, so we cannot go back to Zimbabwe. We have children in South Africa, we cannot go back to Zimbabwe. But I hope that the South Africans from this exchange can actually realize what these people are doing. I hope that South Africans can see the intentions of having people like this in South Africa. And I hope the mainstream media, especially the mainstream media, can actually see the intention of these people in South Africa.
That those resources are the most important thing.
If you have such faith in your country, in Zimbabwe, I would say and I would think you would get up and you would take your family and you would go and fix up the future of Zimbabwe. If you're saying there's land, if you're saying there's minerals, if you're saying there is so much wealth and opportunities for you there, you're living a contradiction.
No, I'm not living a contradiction.
You certainly are by sitting here. You're living a contradiction.
Why?
Because people are suffering in Zimbabwe.
So why are people not going to the Netherlands? Why are Germans not going back to Germany? Is it because their countries are bad? Is it because they're running away from problems in the UK or in the States? Why aren't Europeans going? What are you doing here?
I live here. This is my home. I'm not running away from it.
Why are you living here instead of Europe? Why did your great-grandparents come here instead of Europe?
We're not talking about grandparents. We're talking about me.
No,
we're talking about you.
You've made it sound like a Zimbabwean needs to go back to Zimbabwe to show that Zimbabwe is working.
Of course, the Zimbabwean needs to go back to Zimbabwe. If you believe that Zimbabwe is so productive, why don't you go to Zimbabwe? It's a good point. If you believe that Zimbabwe is working under ZANU-PF, why don't you go to Zimbabwe? This is the same thing that Zimbabweans have been saying themselves. Zimbabweans themselves have been saying that if you believe in ZANU-PF so much, why don't you come here and live with us? Why don't you come here and experience ZANU-PF with us? You are telling people how wonderful ZANU-PF is from the comfortable of your home in South Africa. You are telling South Africans that ZANU-PF is the best governance from your comfort in South Africa. And this is the reason why again, Zimbabweans are so frustrated with this person, that he goes around telling people how wonderful ZANU-PF is, but he won't leave South Africa. He won't go to Zimbabwe and live with this ZANU-PF that he loves so much. Zimbabweans themselves are frustrated with this person. Because now he says, now you're making it look like Zimbabweans must go back home to show that the country is working. Of course. Of course. If you sell this brand of Zimbabwe, if you sell the brand of ZANU-PF so much, then you need to go back to Zimbabwe to show us that Zimbabwe is working. Of course, it was a good point.
So why are Europeans not going back to Europe? Why are Asians not going back to Asia? Why are they staying in South
The context
Africa?
of the conversation is that you're saying that Zimbabwe is a beautiful country with great opportunities and people have run away from there to become waiters. The context is you are living here in South Africa when you could be going back and making that country work. That's the
But you
context.
also forgot that I was asked to come here.
I mean, guys, can we, who asked Rutendo Matinyanga to come to South Africa? I mean, who asked this guy to come to South Africa? Please, if you know that person, guys, please tell me on the comment section, who asked this person to come to South Africa?
Somebody thought my skills were important here.
I've been asked to go to other
What skills? What skills can you actually offer that South Africans cannot offer themselves? What skills do you have that South Africans cannot offer themselves?
countries, but I believe in this
But
country.
the
And I
fear-
refuse
But
to
why
go.
don't you believe in Europe?
No, I believe in South Africa.
Why don't you believe in Europe?
I believe in my country.
Why don't you believe in
is-
Europe?
This is not
it-
about.
So, guys, while the EFF guys were busy defending this guy, this is another video that has actually leaked of him, of Rutendo Matinyanga. I mean, like, you know, according to the EFF, they had to defend this person on the sole purpose of Pan-Africanism. If you are black and we are black, it means that we have good intentions for each other. But I think this video that I'm about to play you, it is one video that has actually made a lot of people actually reconsider supporting this person. I've actually saw some people online going back on their word saying that, guys, I didn't know this person is this type of a person. So I want you guys to watch this video, and I know that you're going to be disgusted watching this video, because this is one video that is actually going to make you mad. It is going to make you angry, especially if you have children. It is going to make you very mad. It is going to make you very mad. So if we are going to support each other on the sole purpose of Pan-Africanism, or we are simply going to support each other because we are all black, are we supposed to support nonsense like this because these people are black? Guys, you are going to be pissed off after watching this video. I can promise you that.
I have been seduced by people that I'm supposed to say no to, and I failed to say no. I've been seduced by wives. I've been seduced by clients. Clients, yes. And I failed to say no. In incidences where I'm supposed to say no. And I've always wondered how this has been influenced by what I went through sexually. So I know where I suspect my problems are, and one of those is sexual deviance, the inability to control myself, the inability to say no. I've been involved with people's wives, and all my life I've grown up spiritual, where I know that you do not go into a marriage home. And I've been seduced by wives and been unable to say no. I have been with women that I'm not sexually attracted to, but because they seduced me, I was unable to say no. And I've always wondered how that was influenced by my sexual past. So a lot of women think that I am the way that I am because I hate women. No, I don't hate women. I love women. In fact, I love them so much that I don't know how to control myself around them. I have been seduced by 16-year-olds.
Guys,
Them. I have been seduced by 16-year-olds. So a child has just gone out of maturity. They come as a little gang to visit Ubudi in the complex. And then they seduce you. And when you're supposed to say no, you don't say no. I've been there. And it makes me wonder what happened to me as a young man has done to me. So when I'm talking to you women, I'm talking to you on an understanding of women. What's also happened is in my life, the way I came to...
Please tell me that you feel disgusted, man. I know that video made me disgusted. Just imagine a grown man saying that I have been seduced by 16-year-olds. We know that it's illegal in South Africa to even have sexual relations with a 16-year-old. 16-year-olds are basically children. He has been seduced by 16-year-olds and he can't say no. So, one of the people that have actually contributed in giving Rutendo Matinyarare a platform, it is Penuel. Penuel is my brother, I love him. But he has actually given Rutendo Matinyarare a lot of platform. I know there are a couple of videos on his platform where Rutendo Matinyarare is there talking about the issues of South Africa. So Penuel, again, he's not happy about Rutendo Matinyarare and his conduct towards the South Africans recently. Let's listen to what Penuel has to say about the whole ordeal.
And destroyed black South Africans. We need you, Leanne, as a South African, to also hold that. Rutendo Matinyarare, you're here as our brother. Come here and be arrogant. Don't come here and be arrogant when where you come from at home, things are not good, but you have the audacity to come into my house and say the dishes are not washed, but your home went down. Don't be arrogant. Otherwise, you must go back to where you came from. If you come here, you come with respect and you listen to us. And if you have an opinion, which you think is important, could be that you think South Africans are lazy, they lack an entrepreneurial spirit, you do it with respect. From what I've seen, you guys lack skills. From what I've seen, you guys are too friendly with the white people. From what I'm seeing, you guys are not seeing the issues of borders where we should be trading with each other as Africans, and speak to us with respect. Don't come with your arrogance. But black South Africans with the colors and some of the Indians must say this and destroyed.
Guys, these people have actually shown us their intention. They want the South Africans to destroy this country the same way they have destroyed Zimbabwe. They have actually shown us their hand. And they have actually realized that in South Africa, people are so divided by color that they are going to use it to destroy South Africa. They know that in South Africa, there are people who believes that we should be divided by color. They know that in South Africa, we have political parties like the EFF who are very vocal about these things. So they know that there is an opportunity for them to come into the country and divide the country and break the country apart. And they are going to do it with the help of the likes of the EFF. Guys, please tell me what you think on the comment section. Don't forget to tell me. Guys, I'm so frustrated. I cannot do it. Even doing the outro, man. I cannot even do the outro. They are going to use race to destroy this country. And I know I'm one person, guys, who have been advocating for non-racial South Africa. I've been saying that, guys, we cannot be divided by race. Because if we allow politicians to divide us by race, if we allow politicians to divide us by religion and all sorts of things, we're going to have people like Rutendo Matinyarare coming into the country and exploiting those. And now they are exploiting the fact that we have political parties in the country that actually believes that people should be divided by race. They are exploiting that. And it's unfortunate that they have support. Guys, please tell me what you think on the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button. And the most important part, subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
The 360 experience with Thomas M.